Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Each episode is about a singular movie, and we'll get to that movie in a little bit. But first, as usual, I gotta ask you, the listener, to suggest your movies for the fan vote, which happens during Tay's episode, which is the next episode. Ruh-roh. Get your movie suggestions in real quick, and you might just end up in the next fan vote, which happens on my Twitter account during Tay's episode. So that'll be next episode. I'm saying episode a lot. Let's get ahead. Let's go ahead and start this episode with introducing ourselves. I am. I had a name and then I forgot. The Ferret, and I'm here with
The After Waffles.
Tay.
And just a homeless callus.
Oh, man, I'm the
And,
only one that has a kinky one.
Kinky.
Not kinky, I guess. Like the
But were there any earthquakes in this movie?
Was there one?
Because I'm guessing
No.
you're playing off of Aftershocks, but I don't.
well,
remember
there
being-
was. I mean, the ground separated early in the movie.
Well,
Did
but
you
I-
watch the
that-
right movie? Did you watch
That was a
2012 on
fault.
accident?
No, in the fault line separated in the beginning.
The ice, yeah,
This is the ice, yeah.
I guess.
I was
Oh.
that was just the ice breaking apart though. That wasn't an earthquake.
Oh well, means usually an earthquake causes that. It
Does
can be
it?
argued that could have been an earthquake.
All right, we'll let it slide since it is your movie. Why don't you go ahead and introduce it while we're on the topic?
Well, if you haven't figured out, we recommend. Or I picked The Day After Tomorrow. Continue the disaster trend. From 2014. It's directed by Roland Emmerich. Stars Dennis Quaid, Jake Gyllenhaal, Emma Rossum. That's Josh Mihuk. Couple young actors in here. Justin Nicholas. That's about it. J.O. Sanders. What's this movie about? Jack Hall, a paleoclimatologist, must make a daring trek from Washington, D.C. to New York City to reach his son, trapped in the crosshairs of a sudden international storm which plunges the planet into a new ice age. So, before we get to, I know what Tay's biggest issue is going to be about the movie, CGI and all that. I did want to bring up, just the disaster part. I feel like this movie, presents a disaster, but the
Multiple disasters,
execution in this, in the movie, just didn't seem to meet the hype. You thought, I don't know, I could be just thinking something else. But what do you guys think of the overall disaster and the intensity of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The hype around the disaster. I mean, they built it up. They built it up okay. It's not like it's not like I was disappointed in the giant flood that engulfs New York City.
Yeah.
It's just watching this 20 plus years later, or almost 20 years later, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. It starts off with hail and then it goes to twisters and then it's just like, okay, I've seen it all before. And
In
I don't
movies,
know.
other movies. But
I
it
guess I
just
see
seems
what you mean. Yeah, I guess I see what you mean because, I guess I was kind of in between. Like, I wasn't totally disappointed, but at the same time, I felt like we could have possibly gotten just a little bit more. The whole, the twister scene was pretty cool, and then the flood was pretty cool, but can't think of really any other standout scenes that were that has any disasters in them.
The people freezing to death instantly.
yeah.
I feel like we didn't even get enough of that.
Yeah, it just seemed like what I mean, execution is just oh yeah, he got this, and then the biggest enemy was a pack of wolves for some time. It's okay, it's I guess.
Well, the elements are the main enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a man versus the elements.
Which gets a little bit goofy when they're running away from the ice.
Yeah.
I always found that scene to be kind of goofy where they're in the library and they're like, "Oh my god, run!" And they're running
Throwing
away
books
from
in the fire.
they're running away from the creeping ice, and it's I feel like if this was
Real,
what they said it was, where the atmosphere is sucking down the cold air and it's instantly freezing. I feel like it would just be so fast that they would just be
Yeah, they
frozen
would
right
end up-
away.
It would be like everywhere all at once. It wouldn't be just. There'd be
following
nothing
them.
to run from. Like you would have to already be by the fire.
It's almost like Roland Emmerich needed like a pseudo villain other than the wolves,
Yeah.
and they're like, the weather is the villain. Actually, humanity's the villain in the end, but
And a pack of wolves.
yeah.
I also feel like the fact that everything instantly froze like in the middle and like in the eye of the storm kind of really didn't make any sense. Like it would make more sense if the freezing happened like on the outer edges of the storm, like around the the outer circle, instead of the eye, because the eye is supposed to be where it's just the most calm.
It's
But I don't
calm,
know,
but
I'm
it's I mean
It's
it's a
sucking down
vortex,
the
so
air.
it's sucking down
Mhm.
air. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
I
giant
guess.
twister.
I'm not a meteorologist, so I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
I
Clearly.
mean, I didn't look it up. I don't know how based in reality any of this
Oh yeah,
science
no,
is.
neither
But
do I.
Sometimes they don't seem to know what they're talking about either. Oh, got them. But yeah, and then they're all they all recover after the flood in the, I guess you'd call it like not the library, but I guess like cafe, I
library.
guess you'd call it library.
yeah, it was in the library.
It was a
And then the
library.
ship just comes down and it's just like, okay. It's like you expected more, like sharks maybe or something, but I know it's so cold they probably all died, which makes sense, but it's like, oh, here's a ship. Which was very bad CGI, if you ask me.
I mean, the ship is kind of like a cool. I mean, cool, quote unquote. It's supposed to be like a cool little, like, oh my god, this ship is in this. It's not supposed to be here.
My God,
And
it's
the
going
funny
down
thing is,
New York
the
Avenue.
shot that they used, the buildings that it comes from, are too close together to allow the ship to go through. I don't know if any of you noticed that, but the buildings are too close together in the shots that they used. You could see one was just a little bit too close to allow that ship to go through.
The power of CGI.
Yeah.
That's right. But I mean,
Yeah.
the large scale destruction stuff. I mean, there was some pretty good practical effects. I wasn't like annoyed by the bad looking stuff. I guess the worst thing was the wolves. I would say that's a
Oh, the
standout of
wolves.
like
Yeah, the wolves were
the
awful.
terrible CGI. But I felt like everything else was just kind of like, okay, that's good. The water rushing in. Maybe not the water rushing in through the windows of the library, but when it was coming after them was pretty good. All the tornado stuff was pretty good. The practical effects for the hail was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Tay, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
Okay,
your
I
area
guess-
of expertise. Get that,
Yeah.
get that
Oh, I
CGI
was
talk
about-
out.
I thought Tay
I
would
was
be
just-
all over the CGI right now. I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
no, I was just about to actually change topic. But I mean the CGI, like I said, the wolves was the worst. Like that's the most standout thing for me. I mean, the rest of it was green screen, practical kind of effects for the most part. I mean, there was some CGI like with the twisters and stuff, and whatever. It looked fine for its time. But I was going to move on to like the characters.
Huh, yeah. What do
Which
you guys
one?
think? There was a lot.
There were a lot, and I like that they like the rich kid wasn't like a jackass. Like that was kind of refreshing to see because especially in the early 2000s, the rich kids were always antagonistic and you're just like, God, I hate this guy. But I thought the rich kid here, he was okay. I don't know.
And then, yeah, it's kind of true. Like they kind of made like position him to kind of be like the bad guy, like the adversary and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, he turned out to be really nice.
Yeah, and then he's just like, hey, no, man, you gotta tell her. You gotta tell her you like her. You're
We're
like,
not talking
"Oh."
about Jake Gyllenhaal's character, right?
No, the other
No.
guy,
The
owner,
guy
Jason.
they stay with in New York.
Dash or Jason? Yeah, Jason.
Jason, yeah. Although I feel bad too because his brother's dead.
Oh, he's long gone. Eh?
Yeah.
This game not the game. This movie suffers from too many main character syndrome because not only do you have the 4 main kids, but you have everyone inside the library who sticks around have main parts. Then you have his dad, the 2 guys who follow his dad, the mother, the kid in the hospital, the nurse in the hospital, who is practically a main character, and then you also have like the weatherman who was driving in his car and got hit by the bus or whatever on live TV. You
Oh, okay.
have the guy who was porking that girl inside of the weather studio. You have all three of the Scottish men inside of the radar
The weather
station or whatever.
station, yeah.
You don't even know what happened to them. You just assume that they died. You have the
Yeah, they died.
president and the vice president and the secretary of whatever. You also have they randomly introduce that Japanese guy at the beginning, and you hear about his family on his phone, and he
Yeah.
dies to the hailstorm. It's like, what the fuck is going? Like, why are there so many fucking characters in this movie? I
think-
cannot keep track of this shit.
I know why. I think I really got the feeling because this guy is Emmerich. He did Independence Day before this, and I think he was trying to really like recapture that because like in Independence Day, you are introduced to not this many characters, but multiple stories that come together. And he was like, "Oh, we gotta recapture that. Like, you get all the different aspects of this, this horrible event." But he
it's
went
much
too
easier
far
to
with
follow. It's much easier to follow in Independence Day
it.
because
Oh, I know he went
in-
too far. He
in this
definitely went
movie,
too far.
the character's on screen for 2 minutes and dies, and you're like, okay, I learned their entire backstory in about 2 minutes, and they died. It's like,
Yeah.
am I supposed to feel something here?
I think
Did
you
you
Oh, I
are.
mention
can't wait to
That's-
get home for your birthday, and then he gets killed by the tornado. It's like, okay, all right, why do I care? I mean,
Yeah.
You've
It's-
mentioned the guy and the dog too.
the homeless
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, he
that's
mentioned
lumped in with the
people
people in the library.
Library.
There's
Yeah,
like
the library
10
figures.
main characters in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I would call them main characters, but yeah, they do like focus on a lot of them a lot of the time.
Oh, that was one thing that also bugged me in the library. We're like, we gotta burn these books, and everyone's like, but these are like one of a kind. Or they didn't even say
Yeah.
one kind. Like these are special books. It's like
Yeah. I
they're
did not
mass
care at that point.
printed. There's more of them. It's okay.
At that point, I wouldn't care either. Be like,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
Well, the one kid even is like, hey, there's an entire like old set of encyclopedias down here we can burn first.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like
Yeah.
they do end up burning pretty much everything except for the Bible. So
Which that one they did say was like in the rare section, so it probably was a one of a kind, wasn't mass produced type thing, which is okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, when they're just like, this is my favorite book, we can't burn it. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, this
Yeah.
isn't the only copy of it.
It's like Barnyard, and it's like, okay, who cares? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, burn everything except the Goosebumps books, please.
Yeah.
Well, that's those. Everyone knows those are cursed. If you burn them, you're gonna have a bad time.
Well, they're already having a bad time, so at that point, does that
Yeah.
really matter?
Yeah, they didn't want a worse time. They don't want some sponge under the kitchen sink to come alive and eat them.
Exactly. They don't want to be attacked by the ooze when they're sleeping.
Yeah, or accidentally get sent back in time and erase their brother from existence.
I don't know. Maybe if you erase Jake Gyllenhaal from the movie, maybe the weather events don't happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who knows? You
I
don't know
think
until
you
you try.
You'd have to erase his dad, obviously. His dad's the one who predicted it, which made it happen.
Oh, that's right, man.
So it's his fault.
Exactly.
So this is a pretty globe-trotting movie, but in one of
Yeah.
the promotional images for this movie, they show Big Ben in encased in ice. And I don't remember seeing that in the movie.
No, I
Yeah.
don't either.
Wait, they
Unless
showed
it be
what in
a
Kiss
deleted
Nice?
scene.
They lied. Big Ben,
Yeah.
the clock tower,
Ah.
famous clock tower in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't.
Maybe
You
there's
don't
like
really
a-
even see too much of. Well, I guess you see the Scotland, but
Yeah, you see Scotland, but not England.
yeah, I guess England's
Do you
not
think-
important enough.
No.
Do you think like the UK version had like an extra scene in England or something?
I
Maybe.
doubt it.
But you see the Statue of Liberty 10 times in this movie.
Well,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, it takes place in New York. How else were we gonna know it's in New York?
Well, it takes place in New York, Hollywood, Washington,
Did,
Tokyo.
Did we ever see
India.
the Golden Gate Bridge get destroyed? Because I feel like 95% of disaster movies we see the Golden Gate Bridge get destroyed.
Yeah, I
It's
think
something
that was
different. They
after
destroyed the
2014.
Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
No,
I
that
think
was
that started
definitely not.
after
No.
2014.
That was definitely
Or
not after
2014.
2014. They did it. They do it. They did it in the Godzilla movie in the '90s. They
Yeah, that's true.
they
Yeah,
do
no,
it. They
it's
do it a lot,
staple.
a lot more
Yeah,
than just.
it gets destroyed a lot. The
Now here,
Transformers.
I have a question for you guys though. Based
Uh-oh.
on what we was presented by this movie, who here lives?
Well, it's probably gonna be you and Callus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're above the line. We
you're
were
above
already
the
dead.
line.
And when they started evacuating the people below the line, we were
Yeah.
done.
True.
And plus, we live in a state where it's already cold, so it just
Yeah.
gets colder.
Yeah,
I feel
So
like
you guys
Florida-
you might still survive by creating a fire, and
Contrary to the end of the movie, I feel like there would be a lot less people alive after that big freeze.
yeah.
Yeah.
You would
I feel like
think-
it's already so hot in Florida that like the lowest it would ever drop to is like 30 degrees. So yeah, we should be fine.
Well,
That's
no,
right. If
according
it
to
gets
this
below-
movie, you guys are, there would be ice.
If
Florida's
it gets
covered
below
in
60
ice.
in Florida, they already freak out. So
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not
But-
prepped. We're not.
but
We
if
don't
you're
have any
so-
cold clothes.
say if you're south enough in Florida, they're callous. They already said like, yeah, southern Florida will be fine. They don't even have to evacuate.
I am in South Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You would definitely have been fine. I would have maybe been okay. If I was able to make it to Mexico. But yeah, I was just curious.
I thought it was so funny how like the movie made such a big deal about like people crossing illegally into Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big ironic moment
Yes.
of the movie. Eventually, they just open it up anyways. They're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Oh
That's
yeah, that was the
they're-
other funny thing. It's like the government decided to forgive all Hispanic debt or whatever it was.
Yeah, all Mexican debt. So they were just like, okay, sure, come on in.
Which, I mean, is kind of like superfluous since the United States is destroyed,
Yeah.
like we need
what
all
are
the
they-
body heat we can get. So come on in.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll forgive your debt. Okay, who's in control? I think Dick Cheney right now. They just laugh and leave. I mean, come on. In the
Yeah,
real
forget-
world, forgiving all debt would probably mean nothing at this point if the
Yeah,
world
no.
is ending.
Right. That's the other thing
Yeah,
I thought about too. Like they just like who's really gonna care at that point?
Yeah, we forgot forgive your debt, but now we got death. So enjoy.
Money doesn't matter anymore.
So
Yeah, the only currency that matter now is bottle caps.
Oh, goody.
so
Although
we'll
those
your
aren't.
guys go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think bottle caps would be a pretty terrible form of currency, seeing as we're not in the 60s.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But
For
what
us,
else
it's
could
the
we
little-
use for
it's
currency?
The,
I mean,
it's the tabs off
2023,
of,
we'll use
off of
Venmo.
cans.
Yeah, the bottle.
The new currency will be Beyblade tops.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is the 90s either.
Like I said, it's just the little open tabs on soda cans and beer cans and whatnot.
All right. I'll take your
All those
word
things.
for it.
That's
What about like
that's-
Pokemon cards?
okay, yeah, could be
I'm
Pokemon
rich.
cards.
I'm rich.
There you go.
I said my dad collects a bunch of cans, so I'd be rich.
Yeah, I have a bunch of the can things. That's why I was saying it should be our currency.
Me and Tay are set up.
Yeah.
Unless it goes the opposite route, I'm set
Yeah.
up.
And then you guys are set up,
So going back to the characters and all 700 of them, what do you think about the main ones, especially like the young actors in here, like Jake Gyllenhaal and the girl? Like they're very young in this. And what do you think overall of the acting of like the characters that I guess we care about a little bit more than
Jake
the others?
Gyllenhaal is, he is a good actor. Like, I mean, we saw him in October Sky, which came out before this, so he was even younger. And he always does a pretty good job, I think. The other kids, I mean, they did fine.
I forgot how cute Emmy Rossum used to be.
Yes, Emmy Rossum I think did good, and actually I just recently watched Phantom of the Opera, which came out the same year as this. I just realized, and
'cause
she's pretty good in
she's
that.
yeah. The latest thing she did was Shameless, right?
Yeah, I think so. She was in a bunch of movies around that time. Like the Dragon Ball movie might have crushed her career. I don't know.
Okay, that's.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I didn't recognize her from anything. I feel
Yeah,
like the nerdy kid, like the nerdier kid. I feel like I've seen him in other stuff also as like the nerdy kid,
well,
where he's always just like awkward and just like I love robotics, or maybe just that stereotype. It was
is
used a lot in the
stereotype.
early 2000s.
Yeah, very much a bit of a stereotype there.
Yeah.
Anything else about the actors and their performances?
I think everyone did fine.
Dennis Quaid, I gotta love Dennis Quaid.
Are you sure it's not Dennis
Quad.
Quad?
Definitely Quaid.
Yeah, I think everyone did fine. Nothing too exceptional, everyone. I mean, a lot of people did a good job of acting scared.
Yeah.
Which, hey, there you go. That's a plus.
What's my role in this movie? Act scared. Oh,
Die.
okay. Die. Yeah. Freeze to death.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah, I think I would say maybe half this movie is like pretty entertaining,
Yeah.
The other half is kind of like, ho hum, here we go.
Do you
I
guys
feel
feel
like
like it slows down in the middle?
It definitely slows down because there's not as much going on. I mean, it still keeps a brisk pace, but I mean, after all, like the action is done,
Yeah.
and like they're trying to force action, like the wolf scene and the
And the
ice
running
chasing
from
them.
ice.
Yeah, it just kind of becomes like, oh, okay,
Yeah. I mean, as far as like the disaster movies that Emmerich has made, it's not one of his like really bad ones.
Yeah, between Independence Day and Geostorm, this is like right in the middle.
Yeah. Where would you put 2012 on that list, though?
Probably a little bit below this one.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. But
would you put Godzilla though?
Godzilla's at the top. I love God. He didn't make
really,
that movie.
wow.
Yeah, so he didn't make that one. I didn't think.
I thought you might have been a writer for it.
I think he wrote for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would put Godzilla pretty high up there.
I'd put it pretty low.
And Stargate, put that pretty high.
Yeah.
Oh, he did Stargate.
I mean, he's
Didn't
he's
he do
credited.
that caveman movie too? What's the
10,000
name of it?
BC.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
That's pretty low for me.
I never saw that one.
I never saw it.
It looked
Patriot,
bad.
pretty high. I mean, he does have a lot of good movies, but
sure.
then there's like these ones that are like falling into a formula, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like that Midway movie he made is just like appallingly bad.
Midway, is that the one about the ship?
It's the one about the battle over Midway and
hence the movie name of the movie.
And then Independence Day 2.
Oh, Independence Day 2. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh,
I never saw
is
that one,
so bad.
but I hear it's bad.
Very bad. Yeah, don't watch it. Terrible time.
Apparently, he did a recent one called Moonfall, but that also has it has an average score of 2.1. So.
Oh jeez.
Oh yeah, no, I saw I think the honest trailer for it or something, and it just seems silly.
So I guess Emmerich is a bit of a divisive filmmaker.
Well,
I just looked it up, and it turns out Emmerich did direct Godzilla.
Oh,
okay.
Hey, Tay and I are on the opposite of that one, so maybe we'll fight about it in a future podcast.
Do we already watch that one for the podcast?
We watched 2014.
Oh, okay, that's right.
The one where Godzilla was in like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
5 minutes if we're lucky.
You can see his balls hanging on one of the scenes. Anyway, hey, why do you think they called it The Day After Tomorrow?
Because they're trying to survive the day after the storm, which is tomorrow. Maybe.
Wait, what? That just confused me.
Because they were like, we gotta call it something, and they were just throwing ideas out, and they're like, that one sounds cool. What does it mean? I don't know, but it sounds cool.
The Day After Tomorrow.
I think it just the movie bases the day after the snowstorm, so they're saying no, the day after tomorrow, which is tomorrow being the storm,
But the
So the day
snowstorm
after,
lasted for months,
yeah,
right?
the day after
or
tomorrow,
maybe the
when this
ice
movie
age.
ends.
Yeah, maybe the ice age. I don't know
But that's
where
also
everything
another like
froze.
like years.
Yeah, then I don't know. Just throwing
Yeah.
ideas
No,
out
I
there.
think
I
it's
mean, but
just it's just those who survived. They've made it to the day after tomorrow.
whoa,
Because underneath it says, "Where will you be?" with a question mark.
yeah, that
Good thing
makes
that's
no
not in the title.
sense at all.
Yes, the day after tomorrow. Then in small fine print underneath it says, "Where will you be?"
I'll
So
probably
I'm
be in a beach
guessing,
in Florida.
yeah, I'm
I'll
guessing they're just
be
asking where
in
you will be when the
Mexico.
apocalypse happens.
Yeah.
Um, so can we all agree that the vice president is like the worst character in this movie?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Like not only I don't know, he's so headstrong about the economy. And it's
Which
like,
we have people like that now, where it's just like, but the economy. It's like if we're all
yeah,
dead, it doesn't matter.
right. I don't know. I hate the ending of this movie because the vice president goes on TV and he's like, "My fellow Americans, I was wrong and we suck ass." And it's like, duh. Like, okay, dude. The
Yeah.
I was wrong moment. Wow. Great.
Yeah. If only he
Yeah.
would have listened a bit sooner. Could they have actually done something to prevent all that? I guess they could have evacuated sooner, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of snuck up on them, so I
They
don't
And
know.
still had
that's
time.
sneaky weather.
Yeah, that's sneaky weather.
I would say once you see three twisters form into one giant twister in Hollywood, maybe start thinking about it. I mean, all the facts were there, like the temperature rising and like the stuff happening, the crazy stuff happening. I don't know. I feel like maybe someone would take this guy more seriously in a higher position. I don't know.
Depends.
Depends. Also, what the heck is with them just killing the president off screen?
Yeah.
They did the same thing to the
Hmm.
royal family where they're like, "Oh my god, the royal family died." And it's like, when?
Yeah. Well, they can't show that. The movie would be
And then
pirated R.
well, yeah, the president he's like, "All right, I'll see you soon. Goodbye." He hangs up. They get in the choppers, and then what? They just got stuck in the storm. Like,
Why
just
didn't
show.
they-
They
Chopper
said
froze.
the plane went down, or the chopper or
Yeah,
something.
but why did he wait so long to leave? Like everyone else had left for like
All the
hours
artifacts
ago.
in the White House are gone, and he's like, "All
Yeah.
right, time to go." Like,
Yeah.
You had to make sure the artifacts get out.
that portrait of George Washington is very important.
He was like the captain of the Titanic. He wanted to be the last one to get off or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the Titanic captain died way before a lot of other people. But I find it kind of like a cop out. They were like, "Oh, the president's dead. When? What? Why?"
They're
There
just
was
trying
a
to-
conflict in scheduling, and he can't be in the movie anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
They
they're
mostly
just
show the
trying to
vice
get that
president
disaster feeling, like the end of the world is happening feeling, I
Well,
guess.
even
But they failed
Independence
to
Day, even
yeah.
Independence Day didn't cop out. They showed the president getting eviscerated in his fucking helicopter, or maybe it was the vice president. I forget.
There was the vice president in
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, vice president, fuck you," you know.
Well, the aliens would be like that.
Well, the
Not a-
storm
not a
doesn't have any
snowstorm.
emotions, although it seems to when it just targets these people we're following.
Yeah.
The
It's
guy
like-
dies in the chopper, and he's like trying to open the door, and he's like, "Oh my god, I lived," and he's just like, it's like, okay.
But wait, the storm does have
Snowstorm.
an emotion. The storm is cold.
Oh, cold
God.
heart.
What I don't get, like going back to that helicopter scene, like the fuel freezes, they crash, like, and then he doesn't freeze till they open the door. It's like the helicopters aren't insulated;
Yeah.
they
Well-
would have frozen in them.
The
Well, they had to
same-
make
I
that
mean,
scene more dramatic.
Yeah, they had to
I
make it
know.
very dramatic. Maybe there was a fire inside the cockpit, and
Maybe
he lived a little bit longer.
A fire broke out.
But he
when they
should
were
have just
going down, sure.
burned some books. I mean, he would have been fine. He could have lived
Yeah.
out through the storm.
It's
Apparently,
true.
the cold can't get you if you just have a small fire.
Hmm.
And I was right. The one guy survives inside of a Wendy's,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He turned on the fryers, and he was
which
like,
it
"I'm
would
good."
definitely not have worked. The fryers would
Yeah.
have been frozen over or drained or whatever. Like,
Well, again, the fuel would have frozen.
Yeah.
Been frozen.
right, the chopper fuel froze. So why wouldn't the grease in the vats inside the
Maybe the
Wendy's?
chopper fuel froze because they were higher up. If they had been down low, it wouldn't have frozen.
Wouldn't it be the
Sure, there you
opposite?
go. We'll
Because
go with that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
No,
Plot holes.
Yeah, it's just a good thing he wasn't inside of like a Five Guy or not a Five.
Five Guys.
What's a place that doesn't sell greasy food? Like a Subway. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Good thing he wasn't in a Subway.
Microwave on.
There you go. And if Indiana Jones can survive inside of a refrigerator, Dennis Quaid could survive inside of a microwave.
Yeah.
Just turn it on.
Really though, he should have gone into like a freezer because the freezer's so insulated to keep the cold in. It would have kept the super cold out.
That's right.
That would have made
Yep.
more sense than being able to turn on all the fryers.
Yeah, whatever. It's a movie.
there's a lot of things about this movie that you can go, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like whatever moments in this. Like, okay, I guess I'll accept it for now, but whatever.
Yeah.
And also, like in the library scene, did the door really stop the cold? Is that what we're expected to believe? Did they shut the door and like it just stopped?
No, I mean, you see the inner walls frozen and stuff too.
Mm.
But if they're close enough to the fire, which I mean makes sense, fire would kind of keep that cold at bay, and it would kind of freeze over, like, because it's not fuel. Itself is the fuel. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm not a scientist. And the writers clearly weren't either.
All right. Anything else about the movie?
Yeah, I don't think so for me personally. I just thought it was just kind of like okay, Like I said, midway through it, it's like okay, we've seen all this movie has to offer,
Yeah.
and that's what
We
makes
see
the
all the
second
dead
half
people,
just
we
kind of
get it.
drag. Yeah, just kind of drags it after the
After the
first
flood?
half. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the pacing does keep up a bit, but it's like, what are we doing here? Like this movie should have been over about 30 minutes ago.
Somehow it's still a 2-hour movie.
They really, had to pad that runtime.
I guess the positive thing is that I didn't feel the runtime, so that's good.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to our final thoughts and ratings?
I'm fine with that.
I'm good to go.
Sure thing.
Okay. All right. The Day After Tomorrow, 2014. Yeah, continuing disaster trend. It definitely.
2004, you mean?
What did I say? 2010.
2014.
Oh yeah, 2004. Yeah. Definitely continues that disaster trend vibe. The whole disaster and everything. I don't know. I just don't think it lived up to the hype in this movie. I just was not. I guess I was just expecting more, and then like after like Yemmy said halfway through, it's okay. There's wolves, and then there's something else. It's like okay, let's go, kind of do something else. First half of the movie's good. Characters, the acting was good. Characters, yeah, there were too many to keep track of, and just don't care about either. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And then the dogs, so sad for the dogs. So they're just trying to mess with your emotions a little bit. Yeah. So after all that, I'm gonna give this movie a 2.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Oh, I guess it's me now. Yeah, I mean, overall, acting was fine. Everything was it was fine. It was very middle of the road. Like, there were some cool parts. There were some bad parts. There were some parts that didn't make sense. but overall, it was fun for the most part. As far as disaster films go, it's not the worst. It's definitely not the best. Um, it's very just middle of the road, kind of forgettable. You watch it once and then you just put it out of your mind. But yeah, I'm agreed there with Greedy. Basically, I'd give it 2.5 sounds good.
All right. Well, I was a little bit more positive with it. I feel like the um the enjoyable parts of the movie made it to where, like, I don't regret watching it, and I do remember, like, the well, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I did remember a lot of the scenes, so I still enjoyed, watching just, the disaster aspect and, like, the destruction, and, like, the flood and the twister. I thought those parts were, like, really, really cool to watch. The spectacle of it was pretty cool, and it didn't have, like, the overwhelming sadness that Titanic had. It was just a destruction. So, but yeah, I do for the most part agree with you guys. Like, it has some good parts, some bad parts. Pacing was not too bad. Acting was pretty good. Overall, I guess I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Cal's just admitted that he wasn't sad to see all those people die. Um, I mean, I don't regret watching the movie. That's a positive.
Yeah.
I think it's all fine. After the destruction scenes happen, you just kind of melt into your seat and go, okay, we're in the cold for the next hour or so. I like I said, I think it has a nice brisk pace. At least it's consistent in that. The acting's fine. The action's fine. The CGI is fine at times. Bad at some other times. Let's be honest. Yeah, it's just kind of like a nothing movie to me, though. It's just like it's not really one that will stick with me. I mean, I watched it a long time ago, and I still remembered. Well, I guess that is the opposite of what I'm saying. Huh? I still remember this entire movie, so maybe it does stick with you. Maybe that's a positive. You know what? I'll give it an extra half point. I'm gonna give this one a 2.5 for being memorable, at least.
That was quite a roller coaster. Oh, I'm sorry. What was your rating?
Suck my no 2.5. I'm gonna because it is memorable. I do remember a lot about it, so I guess there's something to be said about the memorability of this movie. It is definitely memorable, and maybe not for the best reasons, but hey, it's in my mind. There you go. Also, like, there's some
Memorability.
really
Wow.
interesting imagery that happens too, like the Hollywood sign being torn down and the Statue of Liberty being frozen in a lake. You know how it goes. And that's that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
Huh?
another okay movie by me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like anything to write home about.
Yeah.
You guys were mentioning how last time. Oh, now I don't have to watch. Titanic ever again. Well, now I don't ever have to watch The Day After Tomorrow ever again. Which is cool.
Exactly.
Ever again. Yeah.
Hopefully, unless for some reason 100, 20 years down the line we revisit it.
Yeah. Once we hit our 10-year mark, so then it's like we've seen every movie. I guess we'll just have to revisit these.
Well, hey, speaking of movies, Tay, do you have a movie for
I
us?
do have a movie for us. That movie would be The Count of Monte Cristo from 2002.
Well.
Now, Greedy, there are a lot of these movies, so make sure you get the right one.
Okay.
But this one is directed by Kevin Reynolds. It's written by Alexandre Dumas and Jay Wolpert. It stars Jim Caviezel, Guy Pearce, Christopher Adamson, Richard Harris, several others, Luis Guzman, even the young Henry Carville, apparently.
Which one did you say? The 2002 one?
Yeah, 2002. So, synopsis: a young man falsely imprisoned by his jealous friend, in quotes, escapes and uses a hidden treasure to exact his revenge. So, I haven't seen this movie for quite some time, but I remember really liking it when I was younger, so I'm interested to watch it again.
It looks like it's available on Hulu. to stream, and then to rent. It looks like it's only on disc for Amazon,
All right, well,
Wow.
it's
but you can
on.
also watch it on like YouTube and stuff like that too if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, sounds like it's on Hulu. That's good.
All right, I've never heard of this one, so
Really,
we'll see how
never.
it goes.
Yeah, I've never heard of this either.
I've definitely heard of it a lot, but I don't think I've seen it.
It was good. Like I said, I remember it being good. We'll see how it holds up.
All
Now,
right.
is this would you classify this as a disaster movie, or did you
I
just
mean,
pick it because you liked it?
it's for the main character.
quite-
It was definitely a disaster.
All right.
But no, I would not classify it as necessarily a disaster movie. It's
All right, cool.
it's fine. I'm breaking the trend. I didn't
That's
have a
right.
disaster movie for us.
Cool. So I have to stick to it for my pick next time then.
Exactly.
But you were so excited about Twister when we were talking about it.
We'll see it.
That's what I thought
All
you were
right.
going to pick.
Well, you can pick. Anyone can pick whatever they want. We don't have
That
to
is true.
specifically go. But if you don't want to be spoiled for the Count of Monte Cristo,
Cristo. Count of Monte Cristo.
Make sure you watch the 2002 version. Make sure you watch that before the next episode airs in 2 weeks.
The Count of Monty Python.
The Count of Monty Python.
Don't
Now I'm going to
don't,
watch the wrong movie.
you know what I'm saying? Don't confuse greedy guys.
Don't forget that the fan vote is going to be next episode. So if you want to get any of your suggestions in, you can do that on either the Discord server by talking in the movie stuff section or the Film Freaks section. Either one, honestly, it doesn't really matter. Or you can send us an email at ff.filmfreaks with a Z at the end at gmail.com, or just comment the easiest way. Comment on the latest episode of Film Freaks with a Z, and we will be happy to add it to the list. We got a lot of bangers coming up in this next vote, and I'll announce them next episode. So stay tuned.
Cool.
All right.
All
Alrighty.
I'm saying is everything, everywhere, all at once better win.
Tay's trying to sway the vote. Ban.
Illusion.
Stop the count. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to mention before we end the show?
Don't forget to wipe your eyes.
Mhm.
Or
And
No,
clean
it's
it.
clean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget to wipe either. So.
Yeah, wipe and clean. And we're not just talking about the cheeks here.
But if you clean it, then you don't really need to wipe. Because it's going to be clean.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
All right. Well, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with...
The after waffles.
Taymation.
Just a homeless callus.
And this has been Film Freaks with a Z. Thank you for listening. Oh, the joke I was going to mention during this episode, this is the timeline where Mr. Freeze wins in Batman and Robin.
Ooh,
yeah.
I know.
All right, y'all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
My,
Bye.
in Batman Forever Returns? No, not Returns. Whatever the George Clooney one, Mr. Freeze one is.
Batman and Robin?
Yeah, Batman's the bad guy in that movie.
Well, maybe we'll discuss it some other time.
Someone's going to have to pick it.
We could do the Batman Tim Burton / whatever his name is,
Joel Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher timeline in one of these
Yeah.
weeks, huh? Or one of these
Yeah,
4 sets.
Yeah. No, but you think about it. Mr. Freeze is trying to prevent global warming. Poison Ivy just wants more plants, and he's a billionaire trying to stop that.
We'll have to save this for the Batman and Robin talk. Anyways, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I thought we were saying goodbye.
Oh, no. I mean,
He's still
you
recording.
talk so soon after the bye-bye. I can't
That's-
cut it there.
That's fair. That's fair.
Bye.
Bye.
Cut.